Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar,
Welcome, everybody. I would
Allah.
like to open up with sharing some of my personal beliefs, and this person I hold very dear to my heart. Um, and it is you, Noble. Noble, I was introduced to you about 10 years ago, believe it or not.
Wow.
And what I find interesting about your level of work is that it's, it embodies not only faith through theory, but faith with action. And I think that for me was something that really took to my heart. And I love the fact that you explore different levels of consciousness um, without having any shame, but like trying to find like the connection in all things. And for me, that's how I am when I start studying different religions. I try to see like what brings the people together. And for me, your level of knowledge and wisdom, it does that for me. But I see that throughout your journey and throughout you like studying different religions and different spiritualities, it seems like you stand very firm on the Quran. Why do you stand,
Mm,
like, what is it about the Quran that makes you stand on business where you're like, this is it, this is the path for me?
okay. Well, first, thank you for the opportunity. Number one, two, I'm very humbled. I really am. In like 10 years, wow, so, like wow. Um, the Quran for me, I call it the Cosmic Quran. I found out yesterday. I'm not the only person that called it the Cosmic Quran. I thought I coined the term Cosmic Quran, but it was something that was actually talked about by the moms. The moms are the mystics of Moorish Spain, which I'm about to coin that term to the best of my ability. The moms. So the mystics of Moorish Spain had called it the Cosmic Quran. But you know, one my first introduction into Islam really was through a Sufi who's deceased by the name of Sheikh Bawa Mahiuddin, who came from Sri Lanka. He came to Philadelphia, so I was introduced to his books, right? Um, and highly up there, he tells these elaborate stories. You know what I mean? And you got 10,000 demons inside of you, like the monkey, and you're in the jungle, and your mind is the jungle, and he's on one of those. And then, you know, being black in America, you have this perception of racism, and I felt like the Nation of Islam was the physical ideal of black discipline, black military, black. Yeah, yeah, come on with it. We gonna rumble. You gonna have a nice. You gonna have a nice. This ain't gonna be no. This ain't gonna be no. No walk in the park either. Along with the respect that Black America gives the Nation of Islam. That's just a fact. You know what I'm saying? Even when these rappers go to concerts, usually there's a Nation of Islam on security. Usually, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? All across the city, right? All across the country. So there's a level of respect that's there. And I felt like I needed to be tempered some. I felt like I needed to have some structure, right? Because at that point in time, now I'm red, black, green. I got the military, I'm militant beret on my head. I'm in my Huey P. Newton bag.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I got this big old knife with a Black Panther on the end of it and everything, right? So I'm in that bag. And so I joined the Nation of Islam um, for a few years, and I probably wasn't even a whole year, honestly. In that, before I transitioned and went to truck driving school. And it's very interesting because then on truck driving school, while I'm at school, there's this brother in there, and I'm hear him talking like some supreme wisdom lessons. These are a set of lessons that you get in the Nation of Islam. And it's like you got something called actual facts, right? It may say something like, the sun is 93 million miles away from the earth or something like that. And hearing, talking and whatnot. And so I butted in the conversation. Or when he walked past, I was like, "Hey, excuse me." I said, "Hey, bro," I said, "So, the Atlantic Ocean is," and he looked at me, And so, whatever the Atlantic Ocean is, I didn't figure I didn't got old, but let's hypothetically say it was like 68 million miles across or something. He like 68 million miles. And sound travels at the speed of 1,013 1/3 miles. He just started kicking it. So me and him became super cool. Sagittarius brother. And it's funny because he'd be the one that introduced me. He go by the name of Alim too, but he'd be the one that introduced me to Alim Bay, right? And you know, and so as we was on the truck, we end up becoming partners on the truck, which means we drive coast to coast with the truck nonstop because it's two people on the truck. And so yeah, let's do teams, man, and get this money and drive this truck coast to coast and stuff. So we was doing that, and he stopped by the house and he grabbed a box of books. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I see where you going." And he gave me these box of books. And wallahi, I could not understand these books, Janine. This is like Albert Pike Morals and Dogma. This is Masonic stuff. This is Kabbalah. Kabbalah Unveiled. You don't give Kabbalah Unveiled to someone who don't have no concept of Kabbalah. What is Kabbalah, first of all? And it's Kether and Hokmah and all this. Like, what is this stuff? It's not elementary friendly at all, right? And so he gave me all these books. But it would be years later, maybe about 2 years later, that I would come into Kabbalah and understanding and stuff, right? And so speed it up some, because we talking that's 06. Yeah, that's 06 with him, right? Nation of Islam is like 04, 05. Okay. All right. And so then in the Sufi, getting introduced to the Sufi work is 02. Okay. And so as of what, a year ago? Yeah, a year. I would say a year ago. Yeah, it was a year ago. So a year ago, I was in the house by myself for some weeks. Everybody was gone, right? Out visiting family, out of town, me and the dog. And something came over me. I don't know what it was, to go open up the Quran, start studying the Quran. And then at the same time, I started playing the Ayatul Kursi, right? Start playing the Ayatul Kursi prayer, the prayer of protection against evil and all that. And I'm listening to it, and it's hitting my soul in a different way. Like it's about to make me cry type of vibe. And I never forget, I got on the phone with Jew. He called me. We was talking as we normally do. And he was on his mail route, and he was saying, "Man, I just left Cuddy's store." Cuddy is this guy who he called Cuddy, but it's a Muslim dude who owned a corner store. And he said, "Yeah, man, they got, man, on TV, man. I guess all the Muslims is gathered together somewhere in Mecca." And I was like, "Man, look like 1 million people." He said, "Nah, brother, nah, Cuddy's like 3 million people." And so it was Hajj of, I guess, Hajj of 2024 and whatnot. So it was Hajj, and I said, "Oh wow." It's as if I got a spirit etheric call to tune into Islam as the Muslims are at Hajj, putting the prayer in the ether. It's like I picked it up. Because these are two would appear to be separate events. I just happened to be doing it at the time of Hajj. I didn't see Hajj and then decide to go pick up the Quran and that I've been sitting on, and none of that. You know what I'm saying? And so I decided to pick it up. Now, what I can't really remember, I have to go back. Maybe Hajj came first, but also a year ago, me and Youssef, we did a 40-day all liquid fast. Yeah. So we did, yeah. I think the Hajj was first, and then later in the year we started, in the fall somewhere. We started probably around this time. We had started a 40-day liquid fast journey, and when that happened, the Golden Heart had came about. But to answer your question, I'm sorry it took so long, because I got to get it how I got into Islam in different phases. For real. There are different schools of thought within Islam for me. I stand on the Quran because when I understand it now is I got science to back it up, and I'm a big science fan because I believe science is the psychology of Allah, of God. I believe that that's the you figure it out through that. You know, you figure
Mhm.
out God's mind through science. You know what I'm saying? So there's just so many different scientific references that science has just now come to know, that makes that book a phenomenal book, as I call it, the Cosmic Quran. And it's 100% futuristic at times. You know what I mean? Because again, I always give the example of Kelvin. You know, there's a popular saying. This stuff is called the miracles of the Quran.
Mhm.
Science, when they're talking about the scientific miracles of the Quran. So they're saying that, hey, you know, the chapter 57 called iron in the Quran, the word iron is mentioned, and it's the 50, this hypothetically says the 5,300th word in the Quran. But Kelvin, the temperature Kelvin, the iron core starts its melting point at 5,300 degrees. And so I said, well, wait a minute. If that's true, because I never validated this because I have nothing to count, you know, that many words.
Mhm.
And I'm like, if this is true, then that means that the Quran knew Kelvin before Kelvin was born, right?
Mhm.
Like, like way ahead of time. You know what I'm saying? And so there's just these things that pop up like that, you know, and you know, even dealing with the distance of the sun. One of the more easier ones for me to remember is Shams, the sun, is Surah what 91, I think it is,
Mhm.
and January the 3rd, 4th on average, the Earth is closest to the sun. This is an event known as the perihelion. And when this happens, the sun is 91 million miles away from the Earth. But chapter 91 is the sun. So now, because I'm a big astro person, I said, oh no, this no, no. This is heavenly instructions. And that hits different for me. So that's why I stand on the Quran, because it's facts, and it has heavenly instructions, and some of it is still yet to be decoded. As like yesterday, we did the Kutba, the lecture, and we talked about, you know, the Surah Fatiha.
Mhm.
Out of 7 verses, the first 6 verses have a direct reference to some type of woman: the womb, the uterus, a bride, right? A mistress, a woman instructor. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? A woman ally. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
A marriage contract, a queen. You know what I'm saying? All of this is in the Quran when you start looking at the definition of the root word. You know what I'm saying? So the Quran is really still yet to be fully unveiled, even though we have these great truths that we already have. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's why I stand on it, because it's a
Mm.
science book.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense because usually religion, when studying consciousness, I want to say, and which I have to really thank you for, because with me, sometimes you can get too far out there that you can't retrieve your mind back
Ooh.
because there's no solid foundation. And that's why math is one of the fundamentals just of life. Because
Yeah.
how does this make sense? And it sounds to me that, you know, religion is supposed to give you mathematical facts. It's supposed to give you um, hardcore truths that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we tend to just blow past. And it's more so, how does this make me feel?
Mm.
And therefore, we discard what's wrong and what's right, and we do based off of what we feel. So, um, you stand on business of the Quran because it's based on science, is essentially what you're saying in so many words. Is that correct?
Correct. I
Okay.
love, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. It stand on science.
You stand on science.
Yeah, man, the Quran is dope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings me to my next question. So I wanted to also ask you, like, the Quran is not native to the Americas, right? It's not
Yeah.
native to the Americas.
So in my opinion, no, it's not. In my opinion, right? And I think that's really a fact, right? Because see, what happens is I start to hear the narrative of, the Moors. You were here in America before the white man, Mansa Musa brother. You know what I'm saying? It's said to be in the Americas. That's fine, but the question is, was Islam on in Arabia slash Africa before the American soil? You know what I mean? So even if what I've always heard is pretty much like black folks from the east, whether it be some aspect of Africa or more Spain in a sense as well, came to the Americas before the white person came. So therefore, they brought that custom with them, and Quran is, that's I just think that's a fair statement to say that the Quran comes from the east and it's
Mm,
not native. It didn't originate here. You know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? So I would like to see more compelling evidence that point to the contrary to say, yeah, this was the America really was the first civilization over here, and then we migrated the other way. I've seen some great reference videos, but I just never seen just empirical evidence of it, and that's me. So
Mm,
yeah,
mm,
yeah,
mm,
yeah. So
mm. So, do you believe that religion should stay? Um, okay, so do you believe that religion or like spiritual practices should be governed based off the ways of the land? Because land over there is different from land over here, meaning like the people are different over there
yeah,
than they are over here. So would that be throwing the people off rhythm, off balance, studying something that's over there and that was raised in Mecca and Medina? Why can't we just keep it there? Why does it have to be here? So
yeah,
it's like, I don't mean to cut you off. It's like we're great for just like importing and accepting things versus building things that we've created on our
yeah,
own soil. So,
yeah. So that's a good observation. I don't think there's nothing wrong with it, but I love West African Islam, right? Keep your
mm,
custom, incorporate it into your custom. The
mm,
moment that you have to change up everything and study, it's like you becoming something you're not. But maybe for some people that becoming something is better than what they currently are, and that's going to bring out the best version of them for them to, you know, practice whatever they're practicing, whether it's an Eastern version of Islam or Judaism. I know brothers, I've watched some videos where brothers from the United States, they 100% believe they the Jews, and they next thing you know, they got the little curly little things growing now, black, and they moved to Israel. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? That makes you a better person for you. Alhamdulillah. You know what I'm saying? Like it works for you. You know what I'm saying? But I love when um a culture keeps its cultural identity but have the tenets of the new religion. That's beautiful to me. That's beautiful to me right there. So I'm all for that in that
yeah,
sense. Yeah. 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 I mean, because at the core, that's almost like really the evolution of the Bible, right?
yeah,
Bible turns into Old Testament turns into New Testament. But New Testament is like the Christ is saying, hey, I didn't come to abolish the law. So really, you supposed to be still having those tenets, but you got to upgrade through Christ. You got this upgrade, but you don't abandon the old. You know what I'm saying? And then the Quran comes, and now you got this new upgrade. You see what I'm saying? And you don't abandon the old. You acknowledge that. You see what I'm saying?
mm,
So to me, that's the beautiful evolution of humanity when it happens that way.
mm.
Have your cultural expression inside of the thing.
I know yesterday watching your khutbah and how you talked about, or your lecture based off of the Fatiha, you mentioned that there's so many ways to interpret these 7 verses. It makes me think, is that the element of timelessness that comes with these religious texts? Do you
Ooh,
believe that to be true?
yeah, for sure. It absolutely would have to point to that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's stuff that's still yet to be discovered in the Quran. Because as I showed in, there's a saying that, Ali said, there the Fatiha alone he could fill with 70 camels just off the Fatiha alone, different interpretations. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so when I showed her, well, according to Google says, hey, a camel can actually hold about 500 books. Man, what? 500 books times 70 camels? That's 35,000 different interpretations of chapter one alone.
Wow.
So that makes it timeless.
Yeah, that does make it
yeah,
timeless.
yeah, yeah. Especially because we're only in the point of time right now
Hmm.
where everybody is looking at what's written right now.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's going by the same standard. It may vary, but their words still mean the same. So this one to say most compassionate, this one to say most thoughtful or most merciful. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Or so but it's still they still linked in the same way. I'm talking a different, total different translation. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Based
Right.
off what based off what Ali said. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's timeless for sure.
Hmm. And I don't think you may realize, but I don't think you realize the level of profoundness that you're just creating peace, just off the strength of finding out what language actually really means.
Mm,
Because it's almost as if, through these different interpretations, can we more so have a dialogue about what they true? Not saying that one is more truthful than the other, but let's like come together and have a dialogue about what these terminologies actually really mean, and it just goes a lot deeper than what the two average eyes actually really can conceive of. Because who had any idea that guide means path or guide means bride? I think there was a few other
yeah,
definitions that you brought
yeah.
up. We just know guide to be guide. So I really do appreciate the breakdowns that you do when teaching us to go deeper into knowledge. And um, sometimes an argument's not really worth it because we both might just be right. you
Oh
know
yeah, yeah, for sure.
we
Yeah, yeah,
both
yeah,
might just be right.
yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
alhamdulillah, man. I mean, I'm very honored. I could turn if this information helped one person, you know what I mean. Then they say, hey, man, it's a job well done. You know what I mean.
Hmm.
Somebody sees it, they gets it, they help it. So alhamdulillah, for
Yeah.
that and whatnot. But like you said, it's I always go back to the Kabbalion where it says, all truths are but half truths, and all paradoxes can be reconciled. So everybody just may be saying the same thing, but you're saying it in a different way.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? This is why I love that verse about the Quran. Another reason I can stand on the Quran, because the Quran is like, hey, listen, if I wanted to make y'all one believing community, that's how it talks. If I wanted to, like Allah, the way Allah talks in the Quran to me sounds like a black parent, and that's another reason I resonate with it. I'm like, nah,
Yeah.
yeah, talk just like black folks talk like this. You know what I mean? So if I
Hmm.
wanted to make you one believing nation, surely we could have did that. You know what I mean? But we made you with different rights and different customs so you can compete in the righteousness of God. And that which you are having discrepancies about, your religion, my religion, we will inform you about that when you return to us. So I'm like, oh, you ain't got no time to be out here set tripping on nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
According to the Quran, now you're gonna be
Hmm.
informed about these differences, and it's just like, oh, okay, you read this one verse alone that makes Islam what? The universal acceptor.
Mm.
So now that means I have to accept this, and that's why in certain in the Quran you'll see, hey, the Jews, the Christians, and the Sabians, these are people of the book. They good money. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't supposed to be out here set tripping, even though you may disagree with certain things, but Allah made them have their own ceremonial rights in their things. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
And so that's just why I love looking into different cultures, because all of them have a beautiful aspect of miraculous miracles as well, which is a truth. So it's like, okay, the Catholic Church across the street, a lot of Catholics put a lot of energy towards St. Mary, which is in chapter 19 is Marianne. But there is something called Marian apparitions that are supposed to say, hey, These people saw some type of ghost like figure of Mary and told this person to start digging in the ground. They start digging in the ground, and now water runs there, and it still runs to this day. And then people started coming there, and they had tuberculosis and things like that, and they were drinking this water, and then their disease went away.
Mhm.
So, for lack of a better, let's just say, for the sake of argument, if this is true, which is what is on the record, then that means that God said, "Yo, I got a miracle for y'all who believe this way." And then when you practice this school over here, we got a miracle for you who believe this way. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So then God, as the Quran says, Allah is encompassing, Allah is encompassing all things of knowledge in all things. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So yeah, these beautiful different spiritual schools is set up for, his glory, as we would say. We ain't really supposed to be set tripping. You have to find the one that best fits your soul expression, and you know become drunk in love with that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Um, Set tripping, and it reminds me of like hunters and gatherers. Like we don't come here to like hunt each other for what we believe in,
Hmm.
but more so gather the knowledge and line it up with the Most High.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So speaking of lining it up with the Most High, right?
Hmm.
Another thing that I really do appreciate and respect about your way of teaching is that you teach your students to look up to the stars. You teach
Mm.
your students to be governed by the law of truly the cosmic clock. Um, why do you think studying the stars is prevalent in just the day to day life? Why is it prevalent these in some of these religions? Why is it significant, Noble?
Because it is the in this beautiful optical illusion,
Mm-hmm.
it is what appears to be above our heads, and heavenly has always been considered a uh the desired spiritual realm. So what the stars do, like I always quote 41:53 Fusilat, Surah Fusilat. The signs, and surely we put signs in the universe or signs on the horizon and within yourselves, so that you may know that this is the truth.
Mm,
That's one of my favorite verses. And so the goal is to understand how you in the cosmos are really one blood.
wow.
This is why the word, when they say Bismillah, as we've seen, Bismi is heaven, right?
Mm,
Um, and Rahman or and Rahim is the same root word, which means womb. So in the heaven is the womb. Womb is also blood ties, kinship, right? And so because when you come out the womb and we come out the same womb, then we got the same mama. So we got kinship. But the cosmic womb is the cosmos. And so now we all got the same mother. And God is the father in a sense, right? So um another aspect of that, what happens is when you're born, we now know from science that space is a fabric. It's just not empty. It's like it sits on this invisible fabric. And so when Einstein proves space-time continuum, he's saying, hey, when you drop this sun in space, this fabric sinks and these other smaller bodies start to go around it. That's gravity, right? And so all of these planets has a gravitational pull on the earth as well, the moon being the strongest because it's the closest, the sun technically being the strongest, but it's so far, but the moon being the closest, we get the most what it perceived to be the strongest, the high tides, the low tides, things of that nature.
mm-hmm.
All of the planets are exerting some gravitational force on earth.
Mm,
So as we incarnate in this realm, I'm saying that The spirit comes from the cosmos, and we travel through what the Quran call habuki, are these pathways, these which are the planetary orbs. And then when we're born, the planets, since they curve space and have a pull on the earth, our soul had to travel by those planets. Our spirits like travel by those planets, right? And I'm talking about the time of the cutting of the umbilical cord. See, that's different from inception point. It's very different,
Mm-hmm.
which is really the difference between spirit and soul. Soul is already there. I'm talking about spirit activation.
Mm-hmm.
Umbilical cord cut, and you have to draw breath for the first time, independent of mommy. That's a special delivery that's coming in. So that special delivery that comes in is the one that's picking up these planetary cues, these star codes. And if we Google what is the human being made of, you're gonna see, or Google, is the human being made up of stardust? It's gonna say yes. You got nitrogen, you got hydrogen. You like 90 something percent stardust, literally. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? And so there is a beautiful relationship that we have with the cosmos. And so the cosmos is a beautiful outer study that reflects an inner psychology perfectly,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So, as you probably know now, we could say, hey, Janine, mark your menstrual cycle when it first come, and then see if the moon is in the same region next month when it first come again, and you may see a correspondence. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what the Quran said. Hey, our signs is on the horizon and within yourself, until you may realize that this is the truth. From the Quran standpoint, we got some realization to do. We have to cosmic law, because it's something there and in here that are corresponding to one another, so we can come to the realization that this is the truth. Because then it ends with surely Allah is witness over all things.
Mm-hmm.
So really, and that's why I say the witnessing, the shahada is witness. So when you Muslim, you go take your shahada, yes, and you just say you got the iman there, or somebody may not even be an iman, just got some witnesses there, and you say, hey, I bear witness that there's no God but Allah, Muhammad is his messenger. Congratulations, you're Muslim. Beautiful. That's external. The internal thing, based off the Quran said again, on the horizon or in the universe are signs and within yourself, so you may know that this is the truth. Surely Allah is witness over all things. So Allah is waiting for you to witness that confirmation out there and inside of self.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't made that witness of that truth, because he said it's the truth. You haven't came to that realization of al-haq, which is is 4 stages in Sufism. The third stage is al-haq, the ultimate truth. You
Yeah.
haven't came to that ultimate truth. Allah hasn't witnessed that within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you get to the higher echelons, the question is, have you really made your shahada? Because you haven't come to witness Allah's truth yet about his creation in you as man and woman.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Yeah.
And then it's a great tool for what we call, the future. You know what I'm saying? To
Mm-hmm.
get to get to get the environment. Oh, this is a pretty dangerous time. You know what I'm saying? See, there's a pattern to these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you look at the American Revolutionary War, you look at World War One, I think it was, um, and maybe the Civil War as well, right? The planet Uranus was in the same sign, and that bad boy take like 84 years to make full rotation. So there's particular patterns that take place, you know, with humanity and cosmic cycles, you know. So so it's not to worship that. It's to see how you are one with that
Mm-hmm.
is the key.
and how the people are one with it.
Yes,
Because it's almost as if it's a timestamp in consciousness too for the
it
people.
is. Oh, it absolutely is. It's a timestamp. Space has memory.
Mm,
It remembers what you've done. It remember your experiences.
mm-hmm,
That's why you can go into a room and you can feel the energy. You be like, you can tell if a couple was just arguing and fighting, and then, you know what I mean. Like you can feel it. Like spaces have energy.
mm,
That's why I pride myself with like all this plant care and stuff. And I do. I ain't gonna lie about it. I like when people go see the office upstairs, a probate attorney, and they just walk past and they stop and be like, oh my God, I just want to come in there type stuff. I've seen it. He comes in here. Sure, love what you did with the place. How many times you gonna come in here, Jeff, and say that? You know what I'm saying? Like he comes in here and say that. It's an energetic thing. So space holds energy as if cosmic space out there absolutely holds energy. And,
mm,
and one of the crystallizing points that I seen with that is that blew my mind on 9/11 of 2001. Of course, you had the towers go down. And say hypothetically, just for simple imagery, Saturn was at 6 o'clock. Okay. And so on the wall clock, it'd take Saturn 14 years to get at 12 o'clock, which is opposite 6. But 12 and 6 is really a straight line of space. Okay. And so
mm-hmm,
when you get to 12 o'clock, it's like, hey, I'm looking down at 6. I get to see myself in the mirror, not sideways, but straight. I get to see myself. Okay.
mm,
And so 9/11 of 2015, a wind came and knocked down this crane in Mecca. And the crane smashed into a masjid and it killed 111 people on 9/11.
mm,
And when you look at the history of crane accidents, it say the deadliest crane accident before this was in New York, where 8 people died.
mm,
But it's New York that people come to on the 9/11 memorial, rightfully so. And this is the dangerous part. What happens is they send up these 2 beams of light to the heaven to resemble the twin towers.
mm-hmm,
And light is intelligent because light's intelligent because light behaves differently when it's being observed and when it's not being observed. So now people are coming to this spot every year crying as they should, right? They got a negative emotion. And in their mind, they know who did it because the world said the Muslims, they did it. And so this emotional current built up for 14 years. And from the time of the incident with Saturn, the planet that deals with physicality, also deals with what we would call karma,
mm-hmm,
goes around, comes around in a sense, right? The planet of physicality is now in the same straight line of space of fabric, looking at itself from the incidents that again represents materialization, that emotional frequency, that emotional energy knocks this crane down and kills exactly 111 people on 9/11, while New York used to hold the record. But this is the same place of the incident, in the same place of the yearly negative emotional crying with light going into the ether. You see what I'm saying? And when
yeah,
I saw that, I said, boy, they don't understand. They
yeah,
so really the untamed emotions of the Americans spiritually knocked that crane down.
wow,
That's what happened. And see, this is no different than when Snoop Dogg, but see, it's tied to Snoop Dogg too. When the
mm,
Dog Pound went and they did New York, New York, Big City of Dreams, and they knocked down the buildings,
I
bet,
don't know
bet,
that.
best believe, and I did a video on this a while back. I can't remember the
Mm-hmm,
specs,
mm,
but best believe when 9/11 came, it was some planets in the exact same position of space of where they shot that video at, with the
mm,
timeline that they shot that video. And so, space is intelligent, saying all that to say that. It's very
yeah,
intelligent. It has memory.
mm,
Yeah.
okay. For sure. And it saddens me to see that this level of science is demonized and it's not taken into any accountability as if it's something that we don't govern underneath. But that
Yeah,
brings me to my next question I have. I know you talked about Islam and Sufism.
yeah.
How does that connect and where does that divide?
Man, so
So
the mystics were here before Islam.
Mhm. Oh.
They always been.
Uh-huh.
They always been.
Mhm.
The mystics were here before the advent of or organized Christianity, Judaism, and things of
Mhm.
that nature. Um, they clearly divide within the orthodox form of Islam. You have something known as Sharia, the law. They call
Mhm.
Islamic law, and so Islamic jurists can say, "Hey, that form of Islam is not Islam. You can't sing, you can't dicker, you can't, zikr. Rather, you can't do these things because the prophet didn't do these things, and this is just how we feel about it. And you can't do these things.
Mhm.
And so, like, I watched this one guy who's somebody asked him that question. What's the difference between Sufis and Muslims? He's like, no, there's a ruling that's out that Sufism is not Islam. So you always have the orthodox body politic that's the majority, and the mystics are always on the outskirt. They're not the majority. The only time that a mystic Islamic dynasty ran things, from my knowledge, was the Fatimid dynasty, which was the first and only Shia dynasty to run Islam, North Africa, Arabia, and things of that nature. They were heavy into metaphysics, big time.
Mhm.
They're the ones who created the city Cairo, Egypt. Okay.
Oh, they did. I didn't even know
Yeah,
that. I
yeah,
heard you talking about them, but I didn't
yeah,
put two and two together. So the
yeah.
Fatima dynasty were
The
Sufi.
the Fatimid dynasty. They wasn't necessarily
Fatima
Sufi. They were Shia,
Shia.
but they were into metaphysics, big time,
Mhm.
big time. And
Mhm.
even the founding of the city, in the architecture, they noticed that Mars was rising, and so they started paying some homage to Mars because they was watching the stars. So
Mm.
the Fatimid dynasty was heavy into metaphysics, but the mystics has always been on the outskirts. Now, to a degree, it's kind of fairly. I understand it, you know. So it's a slippery slope. The mystical information in the wrong hands could be a very bad thing. A very bad thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
Very bad. Okay. It could be lights out for humanity. It could be really bad. Right. So you got the abuse of power. So I understand it and kind of, would like it to be on that. But then the catch 22 is, well, the Orthodox religion don't know anything like that. Um, and they're not operating on these higher principles to really change society per se.
Mhm.
And this is why I think it may have been Plato, and then one of the Muslim brothers came behind them later. I forget who it was, but they had the idea, maybe Farby. They had the idea of the philosopher king. The perfect kingship is with the one who's basically he's a king and he's a philosopher. He's highly intellectual. He just don't rule for power's sake because he got the power and the money, but he dumb. He don't have no intellectual wit about him,
Mm.
right? That was the perfect kingship and kingdom and queendom, I would dare say as well, to be up under when the philosopher is the king, in a sense. But the mystics always been around. They always been around, but again, it's just based off organized religion that say no, 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 no. You're not. The church doesn't do this, so therefore you're not a Catholic, and nope, nope, you're not Muslim if you zikr and visit the grave of saints and whatnot, and all of these things. And unfortunately, a lot of these rules came about where there was political turmoil for control, especially during what's known as the Crusades.
Mhm.
And a lot of internal fighting. More Spain really fell because they was fighting each other. The Umayyads will fight, another group of people who will come, and then the Almoravids, Almoravids will come in, and then another black group come called the Almohads and beat them. And so it's always this internal rift that's taking place, and then we want to select this person because we say he come from the bloodline of the prophet, and people like, nah, that shouldn't even matter. Select he got poor character. Why are we gonna let this person be the leader when they got piss poor character? Just
Mhm.
because he come from the bloodline don't mean nothing. His character is shot out, right? This person is worthy. So then it's all this internal fighting that takes place and whatnot. And then, as the body politic, like even with Ibn Barjan, as we found out, who's the founder of the mystic school dealing with the contemplators, those who contemplate science. You don't have to meditate. If you contemplate creation enough, you can become enlightened, and yeah, become enlightened and reach the hereafter, as they will call it, in the now. He was in prison in what, Fez, Morocco, or Marrakesh, one of the two, in Morocco, and and then died in prison. You know what I'm saying? Because the powers, the Islamic powers, is like, now you getting too much clout, like, and what you saying goes against how we view Islam.
Mhm.
So that's always been, especially with the expansion of the body politic. Well, I said it right, politic, but the politic trying to establish itself as the political ruler. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it's always been a discrepancy there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Now I believe this. It's a beautiful time that we in because everybody's established, and the tolerance level is crazy. You can do anything you want to. You can identify as a cat. You can do a lot of stuff right now. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
so, this age was kind of, they said, was predicted, and it had been waiting for this age to come, because in the age of Aquarius, and Aquarius is Uranus, and Uranus is really a psycho. Uranus is crazy. You'll be able to do crazy things, and crazy things will be accepted. You see what I'm saying? So now is the time to get it out. But then you got to organize it in such a way to make it obviously beneficial against the craziness. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So sorry for the long
Mhm.
answer, but
It's okay. And I think that's the beautiful thing about America is that it's a big melting pot where we all can choose an identity. We can either choose to bring back the past and how do we make it better.
mm-hmm.
And speaking of the past and just walking alongside Islam and choosing your path, would you call yourself a mystic? I know you know. I know you don't like to
Definitely, yeah,
identify with anything,
yeah,
but the least, would you call yourself a mystic? Because you have a great knowledge of all things. So when we say um, you have like this mystical outlook where you do enjoy contemplating the creation of life and humanity.
yeah, yeah. That's, I can understand that title when somebody said that, if they said it. So yeah, I can say that. But me, at the end of the day, man, I'm just nothing. I'm just a vessel, and I'm just sharing.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, somehow, some way, I've come into contact with the laws of the heavenly law, and to be able to explain it in a way that makes sense and be able to show and prove,
Sure.
most importantly, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I can understand that term, mystic. That's cool.
Yeah. And one last thing on this topic. So, do you find with this level of knowledge, this level of work, do you find yourself getting into it or being selected? Because some people feel like they get into it, but some people feel that you're selected. So, how would you find the neutrality in those two views?
Hmm. So basically, a desire to do it and then being selected to do
Selected
it.
to.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, I think that the level I think when you selected to do it, you put everything up on this.
Mm,
You 10 toes down, you all in. You know what I mean? Um, you would do it for free when you sent to do it. You know, um, it's a mandate. You can't duck it. Even if you try to be like Jonah
mm,
tried. I mean, and then you know, you almost got people killed on that boat trying to get away from ducking that message. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
So you can hurt people being disobedient. You know what I'm saying?
mm.
There's a different level of drive and commitment. Most importantly, a different level of commitment when you feel like you have been sent to do this. That is rare in the world of when it's a changer in society. That's like Gandhi or Mother Teresa and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Abraham Lincoln. You know what I'm saying? These are avatars.
Mhm.
Bob Marley. You know what I'm saying? Where they're paradigm changers. Even we can say Steve Jobs, Apple technology, you know what I'm saying, has revolutionized the world to a degree as well.
Right.
Just didn't necessarily have a political message with it, you know. Jesus, the Muhammad's peace be upon them all. So when you sent, there's a different level of commitment. There's no wavering. That's just that's what it is, and you really got the proof that kind of defines the laws of logic a little bit. You be like, nah, it's divinity. You can see it's ordained. You know what I mean? Um, whereas the other one, we do that all the time. You know what I'm saying? Um, we just do it all the time. I don't even really think it's nothing to even comment about. You know what I mean? I just stick with the when you chosen. That's heavy. That's different.
Mhm.
That's different. It is.
Comes with a
It
heavy
is.
price when you ignore what you're supposed to be doing. It's almost like a strict mother or father, and that's why I love religion too. Is because it does feel like a, even though they're not, you can't see these guiding figures presently. It does feel like there is a mother or father that's guiding you through life, even if you didn't have one, be able to select one.
Yeah.
Um, just,
Yeah. I'm glad you said that.
yeah,
Be- because I appreciate that about religion too, right?
yeah,
So even though religion may not be dealing with the mysteries like that, right? They do a beautiful job on the ground level. The ground level was needed. When people are on drugs and they want to come off the street and first thing they want to do is go pray into this church or this masjid or something, that's needed. This person don't need to know no astro science. Right? They don't need to know how, don't need to know nothing. They need to establish the tenets of faith and get reconnected first. You know what I'm saying?
right,
And so I appreciate the religion for that because
yeah,
that's going to give you the structure. You know what I'm saying? And that's why when you study Sufism, they'll tell you that hey, the four levels. Hey, here go Sharia first, the law of Islam. Know what the law is. Do you pray 5 times a day? Do you fast? You do charity? Do you make proper wudu cleaning before make prayer and how to clean your butt, stench good, and all of that kind of stuff after your period and after you poop and these basic laws to square you up and get you right on the physical. You know what I'm saying? Before you say, okay, now I done made this beautiful transformation. I got my physical together. Now I need a little bit more to start to expand my mind and my soul. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yep.
And so you need Sharia, you need law and structure first. That's Saturn. You need the
Mm-hmm.
foundation first. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? Before you come up to the heaven.
Right.
So I appreciate
Yep.
it as well.
Yep. Because
Yeah.
there's different levels of hunger. Because I
Yeah.
remember not being physically hungry, but like mentally hungry. Like I need something
Yeah.
else. Like this right here is not cutting it.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
throw in like a topic too of
Yeah. Yeah.
you use
Sure.
this word a lot. You use this word of like the golden heart. How does one
Yeah.
find their golden heart within the practice of Islam, Sufism? I
Yeah.
think it's
So
such a
yeah.
well needed because we're so mental right now. We're so like
Yeah.
in our minds that we're not sharing or even allowing people in our hearts because we've lost trust in
Yeah.
lots of different tenets
Yeah.
of the heart. So, can
Al
you
Qalb al
elaborate that?
Dahabi. Yeah, absolutely. So we call it Al Qalb al Dahabi, right? So we dealing with the golden heart. Well, I gotta kind of ask you a question in a sense, right? So,
Sure.
um, well, let me answer it. So let me understand the question. Ask the question again because my mind started to go somewhere.
Yes. What I wanted to say is that like after like studying your level of work, your body of work, you
Hmm.
use this concept of the golden heart. And it's like this concept, it's like a bridge between studying Sufism and studying or just studying the Quran in general.
Hmm.
But in Islam, you're gaining or obtaining this golden heart, then on the Sufi path too, as well. Like, how does one, based off of your level of knowledge, how does one gain their golden heart through the path of the.
Okay, okay. See, right. I got you. So
Yeah.
that's why I was going to ask you. I was like, wait, hold on, Janine. Let me ask you this. So, because you're in the golden heart, well, how has it worked for you? How is it working for you? Because I can say it, as a way, and people could probably look at me like, oh, of course he would say that because he teaches it. Well, how has it worked for you in that sense? How has it worked for you, ladies first, and then I'll answer it. I promise I will.
Yes, for sure. So for me, understanding the golden heart is um, like trusting your initial, like trusting your initial self. Because I feel like in life we just have many different phases of who we think we are, but when
Mhm.
we align with the truth of who we are, it allows us to trust in like this path that we're going down in life. So for me, I would say like the golden heart has been a it's been opening. It's been
Mm,
opening emotionally, mentally, um, and it's like you said from the beginning. It provides structure and a level of protection that I feel that I haven't felt in other studying other religions or other spiritual paths. And I know, like reading the Quran, I feel like I hear God's voice more than I hear His
mhm,
voice in the Bible. It's very
mhm,
direct. Just in conversations with people, I admire people who are more direct versus me trying to figure out what you're saying. I want to know
mm,
what you're saying. Just tell me. And I feel
mhm,
like with the Quran, it just tells me what it's saying. I don't
mhm,
have to do too much digging because I have a general idea, but it's like, wait, it goes deeper. So for me, it's actually casting off a false heart, is what the golden heart is for me. Like the false heart is someone
mm.
who's angry, someone who um, feels like this is it, feeling like you
Yeah.
can't obtain the desires of your heart.
Mm,
Um, it's just like living like a more pure life for me
mm.
in
Yeah.
so many words. Um, but yeah, for me, it's been, I love the golden heart. um, Before even getting into the golden heart, I was gifted the golden heart from my
Yeah.
mother. So
Right.
that for me was like putting two and two together was just like, you might be on the right path. Let's see what this is. Let's see what this
No, it
is
ain't.
about.
Yeah. 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 Ain't no might be. That was a great confirmation. Um,
For
for
sure,
sure.
for sure. And it's it almost feels like it's a divine like revelation, waiting to be implemented into action.
Hmm.
Um, which is kind of why I wanted to like start with asking that question about like how did you obtain your golden heart within the study of you know the
Hmm.
Quran? Like, what opened your heart for you to be like, this is what I want to give back to my people. This is what I want to share
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
like-minded people, or even people that may be just observing your body of work. Like, how did you gain your golden heart?
It's a process, you know. It's everybody has it, right? Um, and it's a few keywords that you use that are absolutely so golden heart in our study. You had to trust. That's literally, if people can see this logo on the screen, there's three words and the one in the middle says trust. So it's faith,
Mm-hmm.
trust, and surrender. It's paramount. So about maybe 3 years ago, um, faith, trust, and surrender, I had wrote down probably 3 or 4 years ago. I wrote down back at my apartment in the bedroom. I got a whiteboard in the bedroom, and I
Mm-hmm.
had wrote down faith, trust, surrender, and under that I also wrote down in love we are healed. The golden heart was not born yet, but those three tenets, or we call the mother pillars, faith, trust, and surrender, and what we call the motto, in love we are healed, was something that I would stare at the board when I happen to go to the apartment. I see it, see it, see it, see it. And so when we did the 40-day fast a year ago, then the golden heart was born out of that 40-day liquid fast. The the downloads, the revelations come to you. And that's why it's important that, all the prophets in this, they went to fast to get this beautiful communication with the Most High. It happens, especially when you can go off in seclusion and fast, you know. Um, so the golden heart came, and the mission of the golden heart, I think, is so short but powerful, because it reads, to discover and surrender to the will of God. First, how you gonna surrender if you never discovered? What you surrendering to? You got to discover something. So you on a quest to discover what this is, to discover what is the will of God for you. That's what you have to discover. So to discover and surrender to the will of God by, now here's how you do it: by opening and purifying the heart. Once you open it, that's the purification process. There's no purification in, I'm working on myself, I'm working on myself. But soon as you get in a relationship and these triggers come, all that stuff come out. I thought you was working on yourself. It has to come out by you opening the heart, not because you stayed away from people. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of us, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what we miss.
Right.
So to discover and surrender to the will of God by opening and purifying the hearts, whereas our souls may merge with the light of God. That's key, because once you open and you purify, what's going to happen is the soul is going to start to glow because you just released, and now you about to merge with the light of God. And when you merge with the light of God, there's an expansion process that's going to take place, and a part of that expansion process, or the end result of that expansion process, is where everything in your life will start to be in alignment, and your life will truly be fulfilled, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has this GPS automatically built into them. The human body knows how to heal itself
Mhm.
if you stop interfering, right? You cut yourself, you don't tell it skin, red blood cells, white blood cells to the rescue. I need you. You don't have to tell it nothing. That's how much you love. That's how much we are loved, right? And see, when we get into that core energy, because I know it's hard to believe that love is the engine that makes the world go round. Well, you be like, Shh, no, it ain't. All the violence in the world. See, it depends what you're looking at. But at the core, what we share in the Golden Heart is we understand that within every single thing, and I mean everything you can possibly think of, that thing inside of it is another thing that is helping the thing that we are observing exist and give it function. So if we say an atom is the basic building block, and we say, no, go inside the atom, you say, oh snap, then you got, you got a nucleus, you got all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? You just got other stuff, electrons and gluons and all this stuff, quarks and a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I said, wow. So there's absolutely no such thing as a single. There's no such thing as a single. Something is inside of the thing that we're looking at. So that means that the entire aspect of creation is yearning and built upon teamwork. And that yearning of teamwork to come together to make the thing function is love at the core.
Mhm.
Whether it's the electron spinning around the nucleus so the cell can become what it is to help give function, all this stuff, that's what we mean by love, is the engine. And so all of us have it. This idea, I liken it to, um everybody wants to live, in the South for the winter, for the most part, on the blue beach, blue waters and white sands. How many people actually make that a reality though? So you have this gift and this thing that you wanted to do. If we wave the magic wand and you can do anything, money won the obstacle, children won the obstacle, relationships won the obstacle, you can do this thing or the group of things. What would it be? You'd be like, oh yeah, I do this, boom, 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 boom. But we lost that. So, and we confuse that with I don't know what to do. That's not true. Well, you don't know what it is. You may not know how to build it. And I call it a bridge. The goal of that thing is over there, and we don't know how to build a bridge to get there. But we
Mhm.
know that we want this over there. We know that. That's an inherent gift that we have from the creator. And the way that we teach it to get there is to be honest with what are the contents of that vision, that dream, that inspiration, which is revelation. It's the same thing, in your heart that you were downloaded with. In the moment that you get in tune with that, things is going to start to shift big time.
Mm.
You going big time. You cry. Your relationships will change. You meet the right people. You know what I mean. And there's going to be a level of resistance too, because this is new. This is scary.
Yeah.
I gotta have faith. I gotta have trust. I gotta surrender. You know, what? Be vulnerable. No,
Mm.
no, no, no. It becomes scary. So, it came about from the fast, but I think for others, it's definitely it's a beautiful tool. Like I want to see love heal the world. I don't want to just talk about it. I
Yeah.
don't want to hear it in theory. I want to see it.
Me
What
too.
do love really look like? How
Right.
how in love we are healed is the motto. So how? Show me. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's been part of the task I've been given as well. You
Mm.
know what I mean?
Faith, trust,
But
and
yeah,
surrender.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely have to say um, my experience with the whole heart aspect. I feel like once you grab a hold of the heart, I don't know if you should work on the heart or the mind first, but I find that really
Mm,
doing this heart work first is actually
Hmm.
grabbing a hold of my mind versus
Yeah.
trying to do my mind work first to grab a
Yeah.
hold of the heart. So, my appreciation from you is the ability to say, to kind of cast off the, what I say, monkey mind by working with the heart first, that you're able to be more, I want to say, stable in how you govern the body. So that's what I've been like
Yeah.
noticing, um, studying underneath like the golden heart. Um, so what would you say
Yeah,
like your
that's deep.
overall vision? No, actually, before I go into that, Noble, do you think it's more, with that being said, do you think it's more significant to start with heart work for first before you work with the mind?
Yeah, so that's interesting. I was that's crazy. I was just thinking about this last week.
Yeah.
Who's the CEO and who's the COO? And I said, nah, you got it wrong. Yo, our whole concept of one over
Uh,
the other is the problem, right? And I
mm,
said, oh, this is what we know. And this is a conversation that I'm having with so. Is it the mind focus on the heart, or the heart needs to learn how to communicate with the brain mind? And what's going on? Is the heart really the CEO? But how can it be the CEO when it's not the one that's logically thinking and in control? And I said, if we're going to give it a corporate model, the best model will be the heart is the chairman of the board and the brain mind is the CEO. Sometimes and oftentimes the CEO happens to be the chairman of the board, but the whole board can vote you out of CEO. Okay.
mm-hmm,
As well. So, and I'm saying is I see it honestly more like two pilots in a cockpit. It's not about which one is the pilot and the co-pilot. It's about working in tandem together like male and female. And sure, we can say, well, one has to give the directive a little bit, and that's fine. Well, we can say, well, let the heart give the directive because when the brain mind is not in tune with the heart, it creates heart disease and things of that nature, which becomes the number one killer all over the planet Earth. So that tells us that our brain mind, needs to be focused on the heart mind, matters of the heart, and what does heart energy entail, right? And so whether it's, we know the heart for the compassion and the mercy and the thoughtfulness and the introspection. But it could also be an aspect of tough love as well and stuff like that. And so yeah, I'm a fan of direct the mind, the brain mind to the heart expression and let the heart, if it's a corporate structure again, let the heart be the chairman and the board of directors is here, and then allow the mind to carry out the mission of what's on the heart. And then the things that you even learn to feed the mind are just going to be things that is more conducive for you overall, which is going to calm the heart down anyway.
mm. I love that, Noble.
You
Uh,
see what I'm saying?
that is very true. Because actually, being very centered on like just the hard work itself, I felt like yesterday, like my heart, like I decided not to be like too interactive with my phone. I put my phone down, even
Hmm.
though I was watching TV. I found myself like not really scrolling on my phone, just really being present. For the first time, I felt like I heard my heart actually speak. And I've never
Hmm.
heard it because I feel like I'm always listening to my mind speak first because
Yeah.
I have a very active mind. And of course, I would want to choose a governing of beliefs where there's more structure. There's
Yeah.
more, there's more like inner attunement because at
Hmm.
times you can leave yourself open and prone to things that may hijack your system, which I find that Islam for me and just walking with the golden heart, it more so puts me in alignment so I don't get hijacked, so I can follow my
Yeah.
heart. So I know yesterday I was like, this feels good, being able to actually hear what the heart is saying versus the mind.
Do you
Because
want to? Would you share what it said?
um, my heart, well, I feel like my heart did tell me at that time that, I'm growing like a greater infinitive love for a person.
Okay.
Um, that, I mean, as we continue on to have our conversations, um, silence and meditation is important because different levels of your body will begin to speak, especially when you find yourself in these connections, in these unions with people. Be
Uh-huh.
mindful which part of your body is speaking at this time.
Mm.
Like, um, at this very moment, um, I felt like there was a voice coming from my heart, not a voice from like that lower nature of myself. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that. It was more so a voice coming from the higher part of myself. So
Mm.
it was just letting me know that the person that I'm thinking about is aligned with my heart, because I've never heard it like that. And for me to identify it the way that I did, it made me feel like, okay, so you're doing this heart work because you about to hear this heart. You about to
Yeah.
hear how it's about to beat. You about to hear how it's about to move and how it's about to put you in a, a space of where you need to be.
Yeah. That's beautiful. You
Yeah.
know, in doing these practices, right? You will start to feel sensations in the heart. Like literally, you may
Mhm.
feel a little tenderness that's there, flutters, something knocking. Like you will start to experience something
Yeah.
for sure. Absolutely, it's gonna happen.
Right.
Um, yeah, yeah,
And the prayers that you do for 5 times a day,
yeah,
um, I'm like, the moment that I started doing prayer for 5 times a day with the Golden Heart, I was like, for me, it brought me back flashbacks to Egypt. Like, we all have some sort of a past life,
yeah,
if you want to believe that or not. But just prostrating, you feel the heart. Like, you feel the heart
yeah,
changing in its different positions, whether it's up, down, and you're having like this internal dialogue where, in your book, you do say like Allah is written on the heart.
yes.
You know, where does that come from? Is that a level of science that that is based off of? Is it a level of mysticism that is brought to the forefront? Like, where did you get that Allah is written on your heart?
Looking at it, so when I looked at it, because I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can. Where is it at? In here somewhere. Here. Just
I know.
really contemplating. You know that's that more Spain mysticism. You know, contemplating on the body. I don't know if I got I don't know where it is in the diagram in this big old manual of ours because I was
Yeah,
just gonna
I
show it
think
to
I
the
have
people.
mine. Like,
Oh, here it is, right here. I
yeah,
got it. I got it.
yeah,
Yeah. So, and that's a jewel. You know. So she's referring to when you look down on your heart. If you can see what the heart looks like by itself, and you start looking at this, you know, the aurora and the vena cavas, superior vena cava, and everything and whatnot. You know, this is we see it this way, but really, this is like you looking down on your heart. This is your neck here, and you looking down on your heart and stuff. And when you do that, you know, we start to look, and I'm like, wait, hold on, that look just like Allah. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, wait a minute, if I superimpose this upon myself, it'll look just like this. You
hmm
see what I'm saying? So
yeah,
now when I look down, I say, wait a minute, they go to Aleph, Lam, Lam, hey, you know what I mean? I don't put this in the public. This is, you know what I mean? But I said, yo, that's Allah. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And I said, oh, this is what I'm saying that it means. You know, I think that historically speaking, I've never seen, and again, it's nothing new under the sun. I just haven't seen it.
hmm
I haven't seen somebody give me a diagram to show me the, the biology of the heart and make an equivalence to Allah. I think that the heart is just this beautiful metaphor that everybody uses. This is the seat of the soul, and
Right.
love, and compassion and things of that nature comes out of that. You know what I mean? So it's more of a psychological thing in a sense,
Mhm.
and not necessarily something that's really physical per se.
Right.
But when I looked at it, just contemplating creation and looking, I said, no, there go the name right there. And then for that to line up, I said, oh, snap. So that means, because that only works when your eyes is God, what is Allah inside of yourself, looking down onto your heart and decides to write his name on your heart while reading it himself. That's the only way that lines up that way. It will not line up the other way. No other
Mm.
way will it line up. You get what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And I said, "Oh my God, that's Allah
Mm.
is in you.
Mm.
Allah
Mm.
encompasses all things of not Allah is in you,
Yeah.
literally, and that's His name." So when I saw that, it just made me fall even more in love. Really, you know what I mean,
Right.
with the whole heart and the golden heart. Yeah. So contemplation is how it came about.
Mhm.
Looking.
Mm.
I'm really. I will say that I think I'm not a meditator, but I am a contemplator. I can contemplate for sure.
With your eyes open or with your eyes closed?
Open. Yeah,
Mm.
because when I'm contemplating, I'm looking at something. I'm
Yeah.
observing nature. I'm observing something to see God within. And see, that's more Spain mysticism. That they was more on the ones on studying nature and studying just real life things to see the divinity in God. God is inside of everything.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I like to look at, nature. And nature to me just ain't trees and water. Nature is just life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can see you in your devilish state. I can see you when when you strung out and selling sex on the corner, all the way to anything. I see it all. You know what I mean? And it's just like, wow, got this variation, so open contemplation.
Mm.
Yeah.
And hearing you say Allah, it sounds like all love, like Allah, Allah.
Yeah.
So
All
that's
love.
my first time actually really putting those two and two together.
Yeah.
Um, from your perspective and your journey of life, from a man to a woman, how would you define love? Like, how would you define
Man,
that? Because we're talking about
Janine.
the heart, and it's
Wow.
like, we don't really see love anymore. We see love
Yeah.
from the aspect of materialism.
Yeah.
So based off of, like, for me, I'm growing into love with the
Hmm.
practice. I don't know if I know exactly what it means, but I can
Yeah.
definitely say I'm growing into it because I'm
Yeah.
casting off these old principles, this old mindset.
Alhamdulillah.
So,
Yeah, that's deep. That's deep. From a man to a woman, this my perspective. And maybe that may be the next paper that's coming. Love is a beautiful spectrum of light. It's a rainbow. See, I don't care what other people use symbols for. I use a symbol for what I see it for, the divinity within it. So love is a rainbow that has six variations of red, right? Got red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. So red love could look like passion. The Greeks call eros. It's a sexual passion. Then you can have agape, which is more of a universal love for humanity. It's one love, it's peace, put the guns down, and it's a hippie movement. You know what I mean? Just world peace, man. That's it, man. Everybody get high and get naked, chill out. You know what I mean? That's that. So it's this purple, violet type of love. So love has frequencies. It does. But even within, if we take it out of colors and we put it in the cosmic spectrum of planets, there is one planet that absolutely rules love. Um, and two others that do really well with it as well. The first being Venus, the Earth's twin, which is very interesting because it's the size and is about the same size as the Earth, and these are the two closest planets in the solar system too. So they're the closest. Um, this is cooperation. This is rhythm. This is harmony. This is like this fine taste. This it's just a very harmonious thing, very peaceful. I say that your partner is good for your nervous system. Their presence alone, just their presence alone, triggers a positive response in your nerves, right? Love is intentional. It is really the most intentional thing that we have to be intentional about. Just like you get up every day and brush your teeth, you put on your shoes, you have to have that same energy and really more to establish, protect, and reinforce love on a daily basis. Every day. Every day, there should be a practice as we show that you say what you are grateful for with your person. You can pray over your food every day, but you can't say, I love you and thank you. And this is what I appreciate about you. I don't care if you repeat yourself from yesterday or the day before, right? It's your truth, right? So you got to be very intentional. Um, the sun does really well with this energy as well. And the sun represents life force and whatnot. And then I dare say Neptune, which represents spirituality, because Neptune is really a higher octave of Venus, just like Uranus is a higher octave of Mercury, and Pluto is a higher octave of Mars. Okay. And so the spirituality, whatever their concept is, going to church together, going to the masjid together, doing meditation together, whatever that may be, the spiritual practice that you seek connection with the invisible divine that you believe is giving you life and is guiding you and your partner, the lovers have to marry inside of this particular system. And again, it could be whatever that it is for them. That's a higher expression of Venus. It's a spiritual love at this particular point. It's a highly evolved love. So, love to me, and it's all of that and more, you know, and this is why perhaps maybe, and I'm saying maybe for you can't clearly say what it is because it's not one static thing. That's why it's a action and mirage and collage rather of a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? It's red, it's yellow, it's some days you don't feel hold on, my son, call on. Sometimes you don't feel like for me, my own biorhythm. I know me. My biorhythm is this. In the morning, I'm a little bit more active in my love expression with my partner. At night, I'm melatonin, mellow, and so you can call it lazy. I mean, I just may want to get served if we know what we mean in a sense, right? It's just a different flow. It's a total different flow. And that's how love is. It's an energy. And when you understand energy is a wave, and it peaks and it goes up and down, but down should not be bad. Down just means it's a different expression.
Mm-hmm.
Y- Not bad. You know what I mean? Because we do everything within love to never ever have a off day with each other, and how we relate love with one another. We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have an off day outside. That's gonna happen. There's too many factors out there. That's going to happen. But it's up to me to understand that when you come in the door, if you on, what color you on. You're not on red right now, because I know you're red. I know your red, girl. Your red is this. You know what I'm saying? It's spicy. It's energetic. You may need a bath and a massage and something that's just more slow and comforting in a sense. So you need a blue love tonight. You know what I'm saying? So love is a rainbow, and you have to define with these different frequencies of light, because that's all color is a frequency. What do these different frequencies represent? That's love for me. That's
Mm.
where I'm at with it.
I love
Yeah.
how it doesn't stay stagnant. So love shouldn't
No.
stay stagnant. It's a
Mm-mm.
constant
It's a constant
evolution.
action.
Yeah,
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
evolution.
Yeah.
Not to associate it with moods, but yeah, it can be a mood thing too as well.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
Um,
It is. It's expressed through mood for sure.
yes, for
For sure.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so moving forward, before we close out, what do you feel like your vision is for like the golden heart? And
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
what is your overall vision?
oh, man. So I'm like, do I have to spill the beans? Okay. So um it was just recently confirmed that so I own land, right? And been owning this 12 lots I got from a guy, and I inherited his tax bill on it, which is like $2,700 a parcel and whatnot. Um, so I got 12 lots next to the apartment building that we already own, free and clear. And next to the apartment is a vacant house that I got for free, that I inherited tax debt on that, because it was just a vacant property and the grass was encroaching upon our apartment building. I was tired of it. And I'm like, dude, just give me this house. And he gave it to me for free. But now I got a big bill associated with that house, right? So the first goal was to establish, just control the board. Anybody want to do anything with this? I own it. Come see me, right? So to control the board, and it'll come to me later on what to do. So I had several options, mainly two. It was either real estate develop and sell. I like the idea of real estate develop, create a HOA. I sell it, but I own it, and everybody got to do what I say because I own the HOA, and I want it. I want the criteria. I don't want these tacky blinds in the window. I don't want no trash out, no junk car. Like, control it, right? Because the land that I own is basically literally inside of a neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got lots on this side of the street with the apartment building, and then on the other side of the street behind those lots is another street. And so I own, basically, it would be property on both sides of, two different streets that's connected to one another. So I got my own little square, literally. And I own two lots right here, you know what I'm saying, on top of the
Mhm.
square. So like I really got my own development. I really do. You know what I'm saying? And so Allah gave it to me the other day, last week. Um, a sign that I should develop it into a Golden Heart inner city wellness retreat center. And that's always been the end game for me. The end game has been a place that we can call our own, a place that's just what we would call a fellowship. Um, preferably in the mountains, which that's really the end game. But I also understand why I was given this opportunity the way I have it, where it is right now as well, because it just ties into some responsibility of family and stuff. And so yeah, it will be a place, a physical place that we can come and commune, a place where I'm talking vision like woody. It's wooded already because it's all wood. So this ain't empty land. This is woods, right? And so imagine coming in a driveway, just one driveway, coming in a driveway. It's woods on both sides, and then all of a sudden you see a cabin, and you see a sauna outside, little barrel, these barrel saunas, and this is where you can come for however long you want to stay, in a sense, and you have your quiet time within nature. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all wooded and whatnot. And then obviously there's a few of those parcels that's like that have these cabins on them and saunas on them. And then you have when you walk the trail or come down to the bottom of the hill, it opens up and it's a beautiful garden. There's two type of gardens. There's one that you sit in and it's more of like roses and flowers, and it's just a sitting space. There's this space where you got the fire pit right there, you got a gazebo right there, and this is just more for open space. And then immediately that's connected to that is the food garden that you see, and we run the food garden from this parcel to this parcel, which now sits on both sides of the street, these two different streets. So it's like a rectangle. It's exactly what it is. It's a rectangle and whatnot. And you can slice it up in half because the parcel is sliced in half. This side of, is this street, and this side is this street right here. And then we can say, hey, this one here is for the community. Community can be local and people who's a part of our community that say, hey, listen, I'm sending some seeds up there. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily have the space, but and to garden myself, but I would like to have my own, whatever it may be. You know what I mean? And then we say, hey, this garden right here, we parcel it out 10 by 10. So let's just say we got 20 little small gardens on this land, but that's for the community. You see what I'm saying? And then the other garden is for us, for those of us that's like there, you know what I mean, and got our own food for personal self and stuff. Um, with the vacant house is to turn that house into what I call the kitchen house. You know what I mean? You come to that house and that's where you come to eat at if you want to eat, or you can just stay in your little cabin. That's what you want to do as well and whatnot. So the goal is to create basically a inner city wellness retreat, that still has elements of nature, big elements of nature. So this ain't no building in the mall, you know what I'm saying, in the shopping plaza. No, this is totally residential, and it's a lot of woods that's there, and gonna keep all of the woods as much as possible to keep that wooded feel. And we want everything orientated a certain way where we have an observation deck. And even if you go with a container home that got a balcony, they got container homes that you go up the stairs and then it's a balcony right there. The way we're going to have it situated is you'll be able to see the southern horizon, southern sky, which you see all of the planets at night, if there's anything. And then the moon at night, you can see that as well and whatnot, because that's how nature flows. If you face in the north, you don't see nothing,
Mm-hmm.
nothing, but the northern constellation, you don't see no planets, no moons, no nothing and whatnot. So we have everything facing south, which is facing down the hill, you know what I mean? And you'll be able to see the horizon and everything and stuff, so a place that we can physically call home is the goal. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's the goal. That's the big goal right there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And healing is so essential, especially today in time,
Yeah.
because everything's so heavy on the mental.
Yeah.
It's like our
Yeah.
body has been put to the test. Now our mind is being put to the test.
Yeah.
And even our
For sure.
heart is too. So, how do we find healing? For some reason, while you were talking, it was just making me think of Kendrick Lamar, Mad
Mm-hmm.
City. Like the city has completely gone completely mad that we can't
Yeah.
even hear the voice of God accurately. So to create a
Mm.
divine place where people can actually heal and connect with nature once again, that's where true healing begins.
Yeah,
It does start with the land and being able to observe your environment and see the beauty from your environment.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that is beautiful.
yeah.
Um,
Come back to the Mother Earth. Yeah,
exactly. Come back to the
yeah,
Mother Earth, as you said.
yeah,
You know, in a community, because we have separated ourselves from our community.
yeah,
So we
for
bring
sure.
that back together.
Yep.
So that vision, that plan there is just so beautiful. And
Yeah.
I'm blessed to be a part of it.
Oh,
So
thank you, man. No, man, we are blessed to have you and everybody
for
that is a
sure,
part of it.
for
For
sure.
sure. Yeah.
Um, Closing out, I just wanted to. Did you have like any like closing remarks um, the for men and women, like just overall, like if you can give some guidance
Okay.
for the two.
Okay, so I'll do that, and then because I am curious to how you
Okay.
got to the golden heart. So if you could
Oh,
tell
okay.
us about at the end. So just make sure
Yeah.
that you tell how did you get to the golden heart. And I know you said you've been watching 10 years ago, but just kind of walk us through some things as well. How you got to it, what made you say, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it." You know what I mean in that sense. But yeah, I mean my closing to remarks for men and women is to really get into your heart space and be true to your heart, right? um I know it's hard. I've lived a life of, I think we all may, let's speak to myself. Right, imposter syndrome, meaning not being true to your heart, not being something that you trying to be. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about, how about being an imposter because you ain't being what you supposed to be, and you know you
Mm,
supposed to be. How about that type of imposter?
wow.
And um work on having the strength to make the hard decision when you know it's the correct decision, because sometimes we don't have that strength and we stay complacent in, you know, a lot of situations. It can be health, food, whatever the case, in a lot of situations. um and I think that's the worst form of ego. I don't really think ego is I look better than you and I'm better than you and I got more albums than you, more cars than you, more money than you. I don't think that's ego. I think ego is what keeps us in the same position and don't want to, um that won't let us go forward in life. I think that's ego, you know. Um so doing an honest inventory on what's in the heart, what has been instilled into you in that first vision that you seen as a child somewhere, which you know the lifestyle that you want to have. You know what love feels like already, because you have an ideal for it, what it's supposed to be. Because when you don't have it, you know that that's not it. So then that automatically means you know it when you come to it rather. And so perhaps, maybe is a thought, that if you start doing specific intentional work with the heart, let me open up, because you know me, I'm big on practice partners. You know, I always say, just who says your dream partner is equipped to deal with your stuff? Man, that's not fair that this person is equipped to deal with your stuff and you still got stuff you ain't dealt with. Your big grown self ain't dealt with this, and now you're gonna put it all on me. And just because I'm your dream partner, I got the capacity. It's not fair. You know what I mean? At all. And so I think to have a practice partner in authenticity, this could be long distance, just conversation. This is what I'm thinking. What if I say this? How would that come off? Like we need that space with each other to practice. You know what I mean? And it could be whatever you agree because you're grown people, and I firmly do stand on that, man. You know, because see, for some reason, we all got bodies, whether it's one body or a million bodies, right? We all got bodies, okay? And so, what makes us think that the way we've been selecting these bodies is like we've been doing it right all this time with no practice? Like that baffles me, right? Like all of a sudden we just gonna get it right. You're like, yeah, right. History shows you have not got it right because, and what I mean by that, and we can get philosophical. It was the right relationship because we got kids and things happen. Yeah, 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 yeah. But did you get in this relationship to break up? Raise your hand now. Because when you first got with them, did you say, this is gonna be hell? We're gonna have a baby, we ain't gonna be together, I'm gonna move out? Nah, you did not. And that's what I mean by that part right there. That part right there is what we got wrong, right? um, and so I'm big on being very intentional, and just being heart centered, you know what I mean, and giving yourself that permission to open up your heart. Um, and oftentimes what needs to happen is you need the opposite sex to come into your life and pull on it. Or in our setting, you know, I can say, I guess I've been blessed, you know, alhamdulillah, where even for the men, as you see in class, you know, I can pose questions a certain way with men and get them to open up, you know what I mean, and become vulnerable and see it from a different perspective, and now go back to the relationship with this and do this, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, get with somebody, you know, that is purposely, that, you know, that's pulling on heartstrings, um especially as they align to your spiritual practice. And see, this is the problem, Janine. What happens is you got to go to a counselor who got a totally different view of spirituality, or who don't have no view of spirituality at all, and it may work and it may not work, right? But to me, the beauty is in if the wisdom already resides within your spiritual practice, right? So the Quran speaks of, in chapter 65 verse 12, right, a divorce. That chapter is called talaq, which is divorce. And that last verse says Allah is the creator of the seven heavens and a similar number of earths, which is talking about the seven planets. Okay. And amongst them, the heavens and earth, descends his command, which is his instruction. Command also means amir. Amir means matters to be determined. So matters to be determined are flowing between these heavens and these planets. Okay. And I said, well, why don't the E-Man ever counsel us to make some type of planetary correspondence? Because this is how this verse ends. Some type of planetary correspondence is going on. The commands of Allah is flowing through these heavens. Yes. And so for me, with the science that I deal with is 100% predicated upon that. Another, you know, another point to why we deal with the stars, because we got a critical situation here in the Quran called divorce, called chapter 65. And it's pointing to this science right here, you know. So I would say if you can find, be evenly yoked within your spiritual system and be able to open up your heart within that. And so the purification process can happen. And you find your practice partner if you don't have one. Be willing to be the most real and authentic that you ever been. Everybody, a lot of people are single, but they're single and don't want to be single deep down, and they're single and they got everything caged inside of them. And now we got high blood pressure and they got all these things going on, and it's creating disease. And it's just literally, and this is literally eating you up from the inside out. So we need a space, you know what I'm saying, to become whole again. You know what I mean? So that would be my advice. get inside of something that will allow you to open up, throw up, and rejuvenate.
Mm, cast off,
Yeah,
yeah. Cast off those false identities,
yeah,
sure. So I really appreciate that level of depth of all of your wisdom and how it allows you to like center your body of knowledge on the heart, because the heart is more so, I don't want to like feminize it, but it's more of a feminine thing, you know.
yeah, yeah,
So to actually see a man be courageous enough to speak from a place of the heart on a larger scale, we haven't seen that. And especially for that person to be a man of color too, as well. We
yeah.
haven't seen. I don't think I've seen it. You know, and I've been searching. So to actually put down the quest and get to the mission, it's a relief. Now I'm in a place where um, not just taking action to take action, but take divine action within um, within a mission. It feels good, you know.
Mm,
It does. So I know you had a couple questions for me
yeah,
before we got out.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, even within that, you know what I mean? Because it seems like with you, you found something that was practical. It what made you that was kind of like the catalyst of you coming. You know what I mean? So yeah, let's walk us through that process. So, yeah, how what made you join the Golden Heart?
um, as I as I mentioned earlier, um, I was I was on a quest for understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to understand not just the surface level, but like I wanted to understand deep enough where this internal light in me comes on,
Mm-hmm.
where it's almost like that mad scientist that gets the aha, I got it, you know, and you got it not to hoard the knowledge, but you get it to actually live in it. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, what led me to the Golden Heart, I've always been interested in spirituality and just um, the different levels of consciousness. And I knew the ones that felt, I was still listening to it, but I knew the ones that felt wrong and I knew the ones that felt right, but it didn't have any applicability into how I can
Yeah.
start navigating and using this so that I can like bring myself to the highest version of me.
Mm.
So I entered the Golden Heart based off of first being in Minister Jew's class.
Yep.
And
Yep.
actually, he would refer to the Quran. And I'm like, why is he doing that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what's the purpose in doing that if we're trying to like decipher what the Bible means?
Mm-hmm.
So it was almost like, okay, step one, step two, hearing him speak about your body of work and how your body of work of you teaching the Quran from a heart space and him teaching the Bible from a mind space,
Yeah.
it just only made sense and opened up a larger door for me to actually not live from a divided perspective, but actually like unify the two parts. So if you think about it, um, sometimes you go on a quest with spirituality because you have a broken heart. And
Mm. Oftentimes, yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna cry.
Huh?
I don't want to cry. But
No,
for
go
me,
ahead. If you got
I
to, go
feel
ahead.
like that's what that was for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was like um, it was like amending like a broken heart, because there's broken hearts because you don't have a complete understanding. So that's how
Mm-hmm.
hearts get broken. So I saw
That's
that after
that's
joining Minister Jew talking about you, because I feel like you can't love Minister Jew without loving you, and you can't love you without loving Minister Jew. So why not bring in the two?
right, right, right.
So I brought in the two, and I was like, okay, I can actually get with this. I can get with this, and it actually is helping synthesize all the knowledge that I've accumulated thus far. Because sometimes you'll get to a place with knowledge and you're stuck. You can't move. You're trapped.
Yeah.
Like it's just like
Yeah.
you allowed you to put yourself in your own straitjacket. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
with y'all two together and how y'all work, it's like it's just so forward thinking that if God was to come down and speak, I would say this is how I want it to be. This is how it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
and then just hearing you know, show and reflect, join the golden heart. Join the golden heart. I'm like, what is the golden heart? I don't know what
Right.
that is. But I'm in this group chat, like the Patreon, getting messages and just trying to observe. And I'm more of an observer. I would rather come into a room, sit down, and be in the corner and just observe, because I
Right.
need to see what part I'm playing before I even open my mouth.
Right.
So that was me. And seeing your memos within the Patreon about the Golden Heart, and then my mom actually coming back from Georgia, because we also do have a land out in Georgia too, that she was like getting surveys on and just seeing how can she get it up to date as well. She came back with some jewelry on. It was a golden heart. I actually should have wore it today. Um, and it was a golden heart. And I was like, oh my goodness, I definitely have to tell my sheikh what happened. Like, this, I felt like it was something calling me towards it. And it showed up in a physical, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
it showed up in a physical format for me. Actually, it was two divine messages that I received. So that's how I
Hmm.
knew for me that I was like on the right path. And it's so much more that I have to do on just the level of um, cleaning up. Like I feel like the Quran allows you to clean up your feminine, like
Mm.
how to truly clean it. Because I just feel like we're being like falsely misrepresented, falsely misrepresented, that we don't even
Hmm.
know our own true power.
Yeah.
So it's like the Quran does it for me. It gives me a clearer voice because I love the Bible too. But I always have to turn around and ask myself, so who said what? Who's speaking?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
who's talking?
Yeah.
Who's
For
who's?
sure. Yeah.
So I'm constantly battling like who said what when. I
Yeah.
can kind of get the why, but I don't know who's talking, and I want to know who's talking to me. You
Hmm.
know, so I feel like that I've been on a quest. You know, I've been on
That's
a
dope.
quest for a very long time, and I can finally put down the quest and actually yield some fruit from my quest. So that's how I ended up on the Golden Heart.
That's amazing, man. Alhamdulillah. I'm honored because I think when we were screening the applicants for the Golden Heart, you're like, oh, okay. It somehow it came up where you mentioned like you study Buddhism. And it's like, yo, what the heck? Wait a minute. Hold on, what was this? How young were you at this? Well, hold on. You totally advanced. You know what I mean? So to see you go through these schools, you know what I mean? Wait, I mean, from my understanding too, like you literally was a part of chant groups and circles physically. You know what I mean? Which speaks to the beauty and the evolution of your own soul. You know what I mean? Especially so, at your age, I was like, what was I doing around that time? You were doing, oh no. I was a totally different fella. Yeah, so to see you say, like, hey, wait a minute, hold on, this is a place where it becomes synthesized, where there's some things where I can walk it out, you know what I mean? It's just honoring and humbling. So we absolutely appreciate you. I know the class appreciates you. You know what I mean? I can tell by the interactions and that everybody appreciate everybody in there, but you're definitely appreciated. So thank you for coming on a journey with us for sure.
You're welcome.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So this is it. We'll be out of here for the day.
Yep, out of here for the day.
Is
Mhm.
what's up. That's what's up. No, I appreciate it. It was great. I'm trying to make sure I didn't leave nothing unchecked for you in a sense,
Mhm.
like, but no, I appreciate you. In class we say Janine's wisdom, the wisdom of Janine. That's what it's called. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we
Yeah.
definitely
For
appreciate it.
sure. And
Yeah.
just be wise and mindful about, when stepping into um any sort of like ancient text, mister, whatever you're doing, like make sure it's not burying your star, because
Mm,
whatever you're studying is supposed to rise your star, but sometimes we
mm,
allow other people to like cover it, shadow it, or give praise to where it's due. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
that's my only thing. If I
Yeah.
could leave out with anything, is that
Wow, man, that's perfect. I was just going to say, in closing, what would you advise men and women? As you asked me as the closing remarks, but that was pretty good. But if you can think of something else, you can.
okay? I think in closing, what would I say to men and women?
Yeah.
Um, let's try to do away with this surface level interaction and conversation that we're having these days. Let's really dig deeper into the true aspects of the divine. And sometimes we don't realize that the divine is hidden within you, and don't be afraid
Mm,
to actually resurrect what's been trying to come back. Don't be afraid of that, because there's something very beautiful when you can live in harmony with your polar opposite.
yeah.
So don't fear love. Don't fear it. Um, and just like you said, like making sure that that person is still walking the same divine path as you are, because we're
Yeah.
only here for a little bit of time, and make the best of it. So
Yeah.
I think that's how we'll close out.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Well, thank you for inviting me on your platform. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
أشهد أن أشهد أن